So I'm going to try and do a bit of a trifecta here and kind of weave together a few different recent videos that I've done or concepts from those videos. We'll see if it works. I think it works, but we'll see. Maybe I'll learn something from it. So one of the concepts I've been talking about lately is earning your emotions or earning my emotions. The idea being that it gets to the root of the idea that we shouldn't always trust our mind, right? Our mind is flawed. It's often guessing. It's often got objectives or intentions that maybe are aligned with what we think are the right things. Some aren't, right? There's the subconscious versus the conscious. There's all that different stuff at play. So when it comes to your emotions, that's a manifestation of that. There's a chance they're legitimate and genuine, but there's a chance they're not. There's a chance if you really trace it back and look at it, it doesn't make sense. So that's kind of a key piece of it. The other thing I'll tie together is this concept that words matter. And the way that we speak is important because what we say is in theory a manifestation or reflection of what we think, and what we think is a manifestation or reflection of what we actually believe. But just like with our minds, sometimes we say things and we'll use extreme language and we think no big deal, right? It's pretty close, 95% equals 100%, but it matters. It matters how people hear it, it matters how we hear it, what it does to us, what it processes in our brain, all that stuff, right? Okay, so what do I mean by all that? So I was listening to a podcast today, and I heard something that I hear very, very commonly on lots of podcasts that I listen to that are in this vein, right? These types of like, I don't want to call them self-help, but whatever you would call them, psychological, philosophical, kind of self-improvement, where people are really trying to talk about ways in which we can be better. And often the format for these podcasts are there's a host and then there's a guest. And typically they're pretty similar in the way they think, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but you'll have people that feel very strongly that, discipline or fitness is important, or you'll have people that think being open-minded and challenging yourself is important, or you'll have people that think all different things, right? All different philosophies on life. But it's somewhat incestuous, that crowd, which we could talk about that in another video. But what I hear often on these podcasts is the guest will put something out there, some concept, right? As I said, discipline is the key to life. Making it up, but let's just say that's what it was. And they'll give some typically, articulate, thoughtful view as to why that's important. And it is articulate and it's thoughtful and it's usually good. And the phrase I often hear is, I love that. Or that's so powerful, that's so impactful, or that's so great. I mean, that type of concept. I love that. And it's not to say that that's a bad thing to say. It's not to say that, it's the wrong thing to say. But words matter, and we should earn that emotion. So when I hear people say that so often, right? Somebody giving their kind of spiel or speech or philosophy or viewpoint on life, and the other person's, I love that. One, have you earned that emotion? Do you love that? Right? Have you earned it? Has that been earned? Have you really? Because he just said it or she just said it. And perhaps they're super articulate and you were able to process it and digest it and it resonated so much and it's in line with something you're thinking that you were able to quickly realize, I love that thing. Or is it hyperbole, right? And this ties to the words matter point. It's not that it's a bad thing. It's that the details matter. The nuance matters. Before you claim that you love that thing and you kind of gloss over it and go to the next thing, hey, let's dissect that shit a bit. Let's look into this. Awesome if you love it. Awesome if it's super insightful and powerful and impactful and all those things, but let's make sure. Let's earn it. Because maybe it is, maybe it's not. Maybe we can build on it. Maybe we can make it better, right? It's not about critique. It's not about saying like, hey, that's not warranted. Who gives a shit about that? It's about getting to something that's actually valuable. And if everybody just loves everything all the time and everything's so impactful, well, shit, why do we still have so many problems in the world, right? There's got to be more to it. And it's not to say that what you're saying is wrong. Maybe the way you're saying it, maybe the way in which people digest it, consume it, maybe there's something to be improved on there. Clearly, people aren't all hearing it for some reason, whether that be they're not listening to your podcast or they are and they're just not implementing it. Something's possibly missing. So before we jump to the idea that I love that and we start using words like that in hyperbole, let's make sure. Let's do the work first. Let's earn it, right? And let's use the right words. Hey, that's really interesting what you're saying. I see a lot of ways in which that makes sense and that resonates, but let's dig deeper. Let me probe. Let me dissect it a bit. right? I think sometimes they're too worried about offending people. They're too worried that it might be interpreted the wrong way. Everybody's kind of feeling good. As I said, it's kind of a similar crowd. We think alike, yeah, that's great, you're great, everybody's great. And everybody could be great. But what's the objective? The objective is to get to a better place. It's got to get a little dirty. It's got to get a little messy. And if we're going to say we love things, let's be sure. And I'll end on this because I wanted to tie this all together. So earn your emotions, words matter, all that stuff. What about me, right? Reflected towards me. Well, I'm pretty jazzed up right here for me on a video. Have I earned this emotion? I have to question that of myself. Why am I so worked up about this concept? Is it ego? Am I jealous? Right? Am I hearing other people talk about stuff that I talk about and I feel like, hey, let's settle it down. It's not that great. I'm good too. Maybe. I haven't done the work yet. I will. And that's why I'm saying it on this video. Or is it earned? Is it, hey, no, I'm being genuine here. I'm Feynmaning this thing, right? Richard Feynman. I'm just curious. I want to understand. I want to get to the truth. I want to get to the better place. And I think that might be an inhibitor. That's the work I have to do.